Hello. So, swapping casting animations is a bit tricky, and I want to apologize ahead of time if this guide gets a bit confusing, but I am going to do my very best to explain things as thoroughly as possible, and hopefully that will help clarify the the process behind this. One quick thing I want to mention, though, is that this guide will simply be covering the animation, the physical movement of the character. It will not be covering the VFX, the explosions, the sparkly things. Unfortunately, with spells, we cannot, or with most spells, we cannot just simply swap one for the other. We have to do the physical animation and then the VFX separately. So if you want to know how to swap VFX or edit VFX or play around with them, I have videos on those and you are welcome to check them out. But again, this particular video will simply be covering the physical movement, the animation of the cast. So with that out of the way, we can start getting into the confusing stuff. And the general formula for spells is there are three parts. We have the start, we have the loop, and we have the end. And they have a certain naming convention to them. And it will be CBBM underscore MGC for magic. And then there will be a class designation like THOM, so THM. And then there will be a number. So the start will be 1. The loop will be 2LP. And then the end will be 3. And it may or may not have a letter on the end of that as well. So if you're familiar with Black Mage spells, you can think of basically any basic Black Mage spell ends with them kind of throwing their staff forward, and like throwing the spell. Then you have, let's say, Flare, where they sort of lean back and one hand goes up into the air and one kind of goes down by their side. And then you have something like Fire 4, where they kind of throw both hands forward at the same time. So those would be 3, 3B, and 3C. So again, as I said, I know this can be a bit tricky, but that's the general flow of things, is you're going to have a class designation and then a 1, 2LP, and then 3, and possibly a letter. So let's go ahead and actually get started with swapping a spell, and hopefully that will make more sense as we do this. So I'm going to open up VFX editor and I'm going to go to the TMB tab, and I will actually go ahead and close the VFX because we will not be dealing with that. So in this particular case, what I want to do is I want to swap the animation of Fire 4 for the animation of Fire 1. So I'm going to click this top magnifying glass here, and under game items and action, I'll go ahead and type Fire. And here, if we go and we look at Fire, you can see we have start, end, hit, and weapon. But that second piece that I mentioned isn't here. There's no loop. So we're gonna have to use a bit of a workaround. We're gonna have to use some third-party software to find that animation. We need that 2LP, but it doesn't give us it from the beginning here, unfortunately. So to demonstrate what I was referring to, or what I was talking about with the class designations and the numbers, we'll go ahead and just start with Fire 1 here. So if I hit select on the start animation, And then I want to be on the Actors tab. Go to Actor 0, and we're going to look for the animation. So here it is. So here you can see. So we have, as I said, CBBM, MGC, and then we have THM _1, because this is a thaumaturge spell, and it is the start, so it ends in a 1. So this is thaumaturge 1, or, is it a thaumaturge spell start? So hopefully that makes sense now, seeing it that way. And so in this instance, what we're going to be doing is, since we are changing Fire 4, which is a Black Mage only ability, into a Thaumaturge ability, Fire 1, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be replacing any instance of BLK for Black Mage with THM for Thaumaturge. Now, the next part that gets a little confusing with this is that the naming conventions do not always follow the abbreviations for the jobs in the game. So for this instance, Black Mage is BLK and not BLM. White Mage is not WHM, it is WHT. Machinist is not MCH, it is MCN. So there are some strange ones, and then there are some that are the same. Paladin is PLD, Red Mage is RDM, Samurai is SAM. So I am going to list all the different ones that I possibly can in the description, but there are some that are outliers that don't quite follow the same naming convention. So once we get into using the third-party tool to find our loop animation, then you will at least have some grasp as to how to go about finding the loop that you need. Gosh, this just is already hard for me to explain, and I really hope that you're able to follow along here. Okay, so let's continue on. So we're replacing Fire 4 with Fire 1. So we need to go to Fire 4. So we're already on Fire, so we'll go to Fire 4, and we're going to go to the start, and we're going to find that animation. So here it is. And again, we have BLK1, because this is a Black Mage start. And as I said, in this instance, we are replacing it with a Thaumaturge ability, so we are going to replace BLK with THM, like that. And now we want to load Fire 4 in the bottom slot as well. So again, game items, action, Fire, and we will put the start in the bottom. Oh, that's not Fire 4, that's Fire 1. We need Fire 4. So we have Fire 4 start in both the top and the bottom slot there. So now we want to move on to the end animation. And so we need to clear these boxes, but we want to save our progress, so to speak. So what we're going to do is click Documents, and then we will click New. And so now those are empty, but it has saved our previous entry in this top slot here. So we can close that. And now we will go back in here, and we want the end. So we will hit select on that one, and then the bottom magnifying glass, and select on that. So again, we have Fire 4 end in both the top and the bottom. And now we're going to repeat the process of finding the animation and replacing the name. So Actors tab, and we are going to look through the tracks for the animation. Here it is. And so we are going to replace the BLK with THM. And as I mentioned, sometimes the spells will end in a letter. In this case, we do not want that letter. The basic fire spell does not end with B. It just ends in 3. So we are going to delete that B. Like so. And then I will hit update here. And now we have the task of finding that elusive loop. So we're going to go to Documents again and hit New. And then what I'm going to do is I am going to open up this Final Fantasy XIV Data Explorer. And I should have prepped this earlier, but we'll close that real quick. And I will put a link in the description as to where you can download this and the instructions on how to install it. But what this lets you do is browse through basically every file of the game. And so that's how we're going to locate our missing 2LP. So I'm going to go to File and then Open, and the animations are in this 04 file right here. So that's the one I'm going to click on and then Open. And now we are going to search for it. And so again, we are replacing any instance of BLK with THM. So we want to search for BLK. And again, we're looking for the loop. So that's 2LP. So I'm going to search for BLK underscore 2LP. So BLK underscore 2LP. And then I will hit search. It should take just a sec. There we go. And it says it has found a result in Kara Action Battle. And then we have the file Magic BLK Loop. So I'm not going to bother typing that out letter by letter. But if I go ahead and open this here, you can see that this is how it translates. So we have Kara Action Battle. So Kara Action Battle. And then basically all you do is add another slash and then add the file name. So Magic BLK Loop.tmb. So that's what we're going to use. So I would copy this, or in your case, you would, for the first time, have to type it out by hand. But we'll take that path. We can close this. We'll hit stop search. We can get rid of that. And now, we'll close this. We want to enter in that path. And so instead of game items and action, we're just going to go to game path. And we will paste that path in and hit select. And then we're going to repeat that for the bottom. So game path, paste that path in, hit select, close these. And now, again, same process. We're going to look for the animation and we are going to rename it. So we will replace BLK with THM like that. And we should finally be good to go. So if I hit update there one last time, and now, of course, I have to cast Fire 1 first before I can cast Fire 4. So here's Fire 1, and then the physical animation of Fire 4 should look the same now. And sure enough, there it is. So as I mentioned, this only covers the physical animation, and we have accomplished that. If you want to look at the VFX, please go ahead and check out the other videos that I have. Again, I feel like I'm a broken record at this point, but I'm sorry if this was confusing. If you have any questions or need clarification, you can ask them in the comments. I also have a Discord, and you are welcome to join that and ask questions there. It may be a little bit easier or not. It's up to you. And otherwise, that's going to take care of it for now. So I hope that this was in some way helpful, and you can at least get started with replacing your animations.